Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about two movies and two brand new 4K Blu-rays. First, we're going to be talking about 1996's Bound, directed by the Wachowskis in its brand new Criterion Collection 4K Blu-ray. And we're also going to be talking about 1980's Paul Schrader directed, Richard Gere starring, crime thriller American Gigolo and its brand new Arrow Video 4K Blu-ray that also just came out. I've been so backed up on reviews here on the channel that I decided, you know what, we're going to put Bound and American Gigolo together. So you'll get two 4K Blu-ray reviews today, and we're going to start off with 1996's Bound. And 3 years before we got The Matrix, which is widely considered one of the greatest films of all time, the Wachowskis gave us Bound, which is also a fantastic, very underrated film. In fact, I absolutely loved my time watching this movie. It stars Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon. Joey Pants is in this movie as well. Also, you get a small part from Christopher Meloni in this movie. I just love seeing Christopher Meloni pop up and stuff, especially when he used to have hair. It's just always great to see him pop up. Most people just know him for Law & Order SVU, but he's a fantastic little actor himself, and I just always enjoy watching him, and he's great in this movie. This movie itself, you know, despite the very dark tone of it, it does have some funny moments. But what is this movie about? Well, Jennifer Tilly, she's married to Joey Pants, who works for the mob. And the building that they live in, they just hired a new handyman or handywoman played by Gina Gershon. They end up forming a relationship with each other. They honestly have a much closer relationship than Jennifer Tilly does with her husband, Joey Pants. And the two of them decide, you know what, Joey Pants, he works for the mob. You know, he's not the big guy, but he works underneath some of the big guys. And the mob needs him to hold on to $2 million for a few days. So Jennifer Tilly's Violet tells Gina Gershon's Corky that, you know what, I have this idea. Why don't we steal $2 million from Joey Pants and the mob? You know, they'll turn on each other and we can make off clean with the money. And that's what this movie's about. And it seems like a really simple plot, but it's really not. There's a lot of layers to this movie. A lot of it is done in the filmmaking. Fantastic editing, cinematography, and score for this movie. It's beautiful to look at. The costume design is perfect. But the story and plot for this one just gets you so intertwined in it. I mean, for the most part, this movie takes place in one or two apartments, and that is it, and you are hooked the entire time. This story is amazing, just so well written. Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon have great chemistry with each other. I'm not usually the biggest Jennifer Tilly fan. I love Bride of Chucky, I love her in Liar Liar, but I wouldn't say Jennifer Tilly is one of my favorite actresses. Yes, in the 1990s, she was DDG, drop dead gorgeous, and I mean, she is one of the most beautiful women ever. So her and Gina Gershon, seeing them in those scenes getting hot and heavy, obviously, you know, that's one thing that they were going for in this movie, and especially in the 1990s, having a lesbian storyline like this play out the way it does, and also have it be a great noir film, because this movie does unravel into a point that you would not expect it to, because it's just that well written. And then, you know, you're just hooked with these characters. Everybody plays their parts so well. This really is a fantastic film. If by chance somehow you haven't seen Bound and you started with the Wachowskis with the Matrix movies, you really are missing out, because Bound is one of the best crafted films that I have ever seen. I just actually forgot how good this movie is. I'm like a lot of people, you know, you kind of just write off Bound because it came out before the Matrix, but you really shouldn't. Bound is an awesome movie. And luckily for us, the Criterion Collection gave us a brand new 4K Blu-ray, and this I knew was a day one purchase, mainly because, like I was saying, I knew I liked Bound, but after rewatching this 4K Blu-ray, I fell in love with Bound. So you get your standard Criterion packaging here. You know, it's a 2-disc set. You get one Blu-ray, one 4K Blu-ray. That Blu-ray is just a downscaled version of the brand new 4K Blu-ray scan. The 4K Blu-ray will have Dolby Vision on it and HDR10. You only have one choice of audio. It's a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. You can't even change it or anything, so that's what you get. You get some subtitles if you need them, but for the most part, Criterion, I would have to say their weakest point lately would have to be in the audio department, just because they don't give us that many options. But this DTS HD 5.1 is absolutely incredible. So well mixed. Like I was saying, the score to this movie is so well done. Also, just in general, how well mixed it is with the sound effects and just how clear the dialogue is coming in. It is a very, very, very well done DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. I have no complaints about it. In fact, it really surprised me at how good it was, because I was looking in the menu system before I put it on. I was like, man, that's it, huh? No other choices of audio. And then I started playing it. I was like, well, it doesn't need any other options, because this is almost perfect. So it is a fantastic audio track. But what really stands out are these visuals. This movie has never looked better than it does right now. Like I was saying, that 1080p Blu-ray, it is the same scan that you'll find on the 4K Blu-ray, and it's still a really well done Blu-ray. So if you don't have the funds and you just want to buy the Blu-ray, or you don't want to buy the 4K Blu-ray and have the Blu-ray packed in, and you're like, I'm not going to jump to the 4K Blu-ray format, that Blu-ray that's packed in here is still really well done. But when you go to the 4K Blu-ray, it's actually a noticeable jump. First of all, we're going to brighten that bad boy up, and the colors are just going to be more vivid. First of all, it's the Wachowskis, so we're going to have a lot of black in there. There's a bar in this movie with like a unique black tiled ceiling that I'd never noticed before, but when I watch the movie now, I'm like, oh my god, that's beautiful. So I really enjoyed it for that. I really enjoyed how good this 4K Blu-ray looked. It's honestly one of the best 4K Blu-rays of this year when it comes to visuals and audio, and I truly did not expect that. I mean, I knew that the Criterion Collection, that's why they're my favorite boutique label, wouldn't half-ass this one, but I was still a little bit worried because I don't know how many people know about Bound. Mostly when people think of the Wachowskis, that's it. They just think of the Matrix and that is it. Nothing else ever comes up. Maybe for some people they'll talk about Speed Racer, but other than that, it's the Matrix or bust. And honestly, if you haven't seen Bound, you really should. This 4K Blu-ray is definitely one of the best ones of 2024. You got a July Barnes & Noble sale coming up in a couple weeks. You can't go wrong with this one. They also gave us a bunch of new extras on here. Well, actually, no, that's not true. They didn't give us a bunch of new extras, but they did give us a brand new video essay, and they also gave us a bunch of great featurettes, which are just interviews, and the best one on there I thought was with Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon, because we don't get any interviews with the Wachowskis, so it's really just with the players in the movie. But all those interviews are so well done, but my favorite one was either with Joey Pants or that one with Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon. That's really where you get to uncover how this movie came to be, because we're not going to hear from the Wachowskis. But either way, I did appreciate those interviews. Of course, I would have liked a making of documentary. We didn't get that here, but the extras that they did give us, I really did enjoy them, even though most of them are previously released. But the new extra that we got, and I believe the commentary track is new as well, I could definitely really appreciate them. I didn't get my socks knocked off by the extras, but I really did when it came to the visuals and audio transfer. So overall, this is one of my favorite releases of the year, and I'm so glad that the Criterion Collection really cleaned up Bound, and hopefully more people discover this movie because it absolutely deserves it. So how would I rate Bound on a score of 1 to 10? I would give Bound's 4K Blu-ray a really solid 9.5 out of 10. It's definitely worth your time and money, and if you can get in that Barnes & Noble sale next month, you absolutely stole it. But that's not the only movie we're here to talk about today. We're also here to talk about American Gigolo. This is the 1980 Paul Schrader film starring Richard Gere. He plays a gigolo in this movie. Paul Schrader has written some of the darkest films in history, like Rolling Thunder and Taxi Driver. He's also directed some great films like Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters, which is still one of my favorites from him. He's directed Hardcore. He's still making movies like The Master Gardener to this very day. So Paul Schrader has never stopped working. And Paul Schrader likes to write certain types of movies. He does follow similar themes in all of his movies. Movies like Taxi Driver and Rolling Thunder. Usually at the center of his movies is a man in distress. A man who is struggling. Or a man, like in this movie, who thinks he has it all together and then gets a wrench thrown right into his entire life that ends up dragging him almost completely down. And that's how we end up with American Gigolo, which is definitely one of the more beautiful looking Paul Schrader films. When I think of a Paul Schrader movie, I usually think of something dark, despite the fact that Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters is one of the most beautiful looking films that I have ever seen. That's in the Criterion Collection on Blu-ray. If that ever comes to 4K Blu-ray, we will be spoiled with that one. But this movie, starring Richard Gere, and Richard Gere is fantastic in this film. I can't imagine anyone else playing this role, because when you think of Richard Gere, you always think of the high-class kind of guy, and that's what this guy is. He's a high-class gigolo. You know, he's going to be a really expensive one if you want to get him. You know, and he caters mostly to, like, older ladies like that. Mainly, you know, ladies who probably can't get it anymore, and he goes there and he really truly believes in his work. He believes he's doing it a service, despite the fact that it is illegal. He believes that he is doing some good, and he's also making a lot of money off of it, so he's not really too concerned. I mean, this guy has got a closet full of clothes. I mean, he's matching them up. He's got a beautiful looking apartment. He's got basically a handler who, you know, sets the jobs up for him. Everything seems to be going well. He's pretty cocky and arrogant. You know, he kind of blows these people off. He knows what he is. He knows he's a good looking guy. He knows that all of these women are going to want him. But you know what ends up happening to him? One day, Bill Duke, he calls in a favor to him. And he's like, I need you to do this for me. I need you to go to these people's house. Apparently, the one husband wants him to have sex with his wife while he watches. Weird guy. I guess that's what they do in Palm Springs. You know, I don't know what the rich were doing in the early 1980s, but he goes there, he does the job, and then unfortunately, a couple days later, that woman ends up dead. And it's believed that Richard Gere did this. And at the very same time, Richard Gere ends up forming a relationship with a senator's wife. Now, he knows who she is, and she knows that he's a gigolo, but he's not willing to form a relationship with her. But unfortunately, she does wear him down. And you know what? That could be the alibi for him on the night of that murder, because he wasn't there. He was with her. But she is not going to want him to expose the fact that a married woman was sleeping with him. So he has got to uncover the mystery of who actually did this murder. So whereas Bound was more of a crime noir film, I would say that American Gigolo is more of a crime thriller. We know the entire plot of this movie very early. We just have to uncover what is really going on along with Richard Gere throughout the entire film. And the attention to detail in this movie I absolutely love. It really does feel like a 1980s film, despite the fact it came out in 1980. Usually films that come out in 1980 feel like a hangover from the 1970s. Movies like First Blood feel like that. I always felt like First Blood feels like a movie that would have came out like 1977, 1978. This feels more like a movie that would have came out in like 1985. You know, we get Call Me by Blondie playing all throughout this film, and I love that. The entire score, actually, I believe it was nominated for an Academy Award. Well deserved. I love the score for this movie. I thought it was fantastic. I really think it plays so well into this movie. And then again, the beautiful set design. The movie itself just looks like sunny California. It looks like a happy movie when really it's a very, very, very dark tale. And I love it for it. And I love it as Richard Gere's life is starting to unravel. So does his look. You know, he's got a 5 o'clock shadow. This is a guy who really cared about how he looks. Well, he's just starting to become more and more messy looking. And, you know, he's trying to save his life. He doesn't know what to do. He can't really say too much to the cops because, again, he has a job that is illegal. And people know it's illegal. And the Detective Sunday, knows that, you know, hey, I know what you're doing. And he doesn't trust him for that. Obviously, would you trust this guy who's already trying to operate outside the law? So he just puts himself in a pickle to where he has to solve this crime pretty much himself, and I just absolutely loved my time with this movie as well. Not as much as I did with Bound. I really had a blast with Bound, but I really did also enjoy American Gigolo. It's one that I have only seen once before this, and it's one that I'll definitely be revisiting in the future, so I was so happy to pick up American Gigolo on 4K Blu-ray. Now, there are two versions of this with a different slip sleeve on the outside because there is an Arrow Store exclusive, which will have the original movie poster on it. I actually preferred this version. You know, this is one I got through the Atomic Movie Store, and yes, the Arrow Video Store exclusive will have the original movie poster on it, but I had no problem buying this through the Atomic Movie Store. I got this and Bound through them, and you know, a lot of time you'll get it delivered early. They take such good care of your 4K Blu-ray, so they'll come like double wrapped and bubble wrapped. I've never had an issue with them. The Atomic Movie Store is where you guys should be buying your movies. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. So I already pulled off that slip sleeve right here, and man, this artwork is great. I love it when Arrow Video gives us the fine china, those Arrow Video hard cases like this. You come to the side, you know, you get your 4K Blu-ray disc right there. You get your reading material and great paper stock and a movie poster. I love that they include that. You come over here, and guess what? This is reversible, so if you like that artwork that's on the outside of the slip sleeve, this is reversible. You can have the original movie poster, or you can have that alternative artwork. Since I already have the alternative artwork on the slip cover and on the actual 4K Blu-ray hard casing, I decided, you know what, I'll switch it around. And when you come inside, you get a bunch of poster cards as well. And some people might be disappointed to find out that this is one 4K Blu-ray disc only. And this is something that Arrow Video has only been doing recently. They always used to give us the Blu-ray disc. I'm a little bit surprised at that, but you know what? They were able to fit all the extras onto that 4K Blu-ray disc, and they gave us, I believe, 7 new extras and a brand new audio commentary track. Now, all of those extras are interviews, including one with Paul Schrader, which I will never complain if you get an interview with Paul Schrader, so I appreciated that. The guy who wrote and directed the movie. You know, we don't get one with Richard Gere, but we do get a bunch of other interviews. I would have liked a making of documentary. Obviously, that's what I always ask for, so I wasn't blown away by these extras, but I really do appreciate the effort from Arrow Video. They went out of their way to give us brand new extras, so I can't really complain about that. Just, you know, it's more personal preference, but Arrow Video definitely did put the effort in. And now the audio, well, your audio track is going to start out in a mono track, the original mono track. It also has the original stereo track, and then your third option is a DTS HD 5.1 surround sound. Now, I usually prefer that DTS HD 5.1, but for once, and this is very, very rare, I actually thought that the mono track fit the tone of this movie a little bit more. It feels like a 1980 movie, so I didn't think it necessarily needed the surround sound, but all 3 tracks, I checked them all out, are very well mixed. Just make sure you guys are checking out those tracks because it's gonna start out in the mono track, so if you want to watch it with the surround sound, you got to change it before you put the movie on, so just make sure you guys are checking that out. And then obviously the visuals, that's what a lot of people are here to, and want to know about. You got HDR10 and Dolby Vision, and this is definitely one for the grain lovers out there because they maintain a lot of the film grain and they maintain the soft look of this film that I can appreciate that. You know, the thing that really stands out to me is now the colors are definitely a lot more brighter and dynamic, and you know, that's where the HDR and the Dolby Vision are doing work. This movie has never looked more beautiful, but it also maintained the look of the film that a lot of people know and remember, so I can appreciate that. They definitely didn't want to use any DNR. They definitely didn't want to clean this one up too much, and I really do appreciate that. This definitely does feel like something where they are trying to maintain how this film has always looked and felt, and this is definitely one of Paul Schrader and Richard Gere's more underseen films, so I can appreciate that as well. And I really did enjoy how this movie looked visually. Yes, it's not something that's going to blow you away. I might even see some people being a little bit disappointed with this one, but overall, I wasn't, because this is a 1980 film, so I think that this definitely fit the tone of the movie. Yes, I mean, there are moments where you're like, it doesn't look too great. There's a scene early in a bar where they have just a shot on Richard Gere, and, you know, it just looked a little bit too soft, but that could be the source material, you know? Maybe it was a little bit out of focus, and they just had no way to reshoot it. These things happen. We talk about source material here all the time, but either way, I think they did a fantastic job on the transfer. It's just not one of the greatest visual transfers I've ever seen. The audio is another thing that's just, it's really good, but it's nothing great. What's really great about this 4K Blu-ray is the packaging. The packaging is really the thing that stands out the most, but for a lot of people, $45 might be hard to justify, so maybe you pick this one up in a sale later in the year, unless you're a huge fan of American Gigolo. Like, I don't regret buying this at $45, but I definitely would have liked this more about $30 because you only do get one disc, and it's definitely hard to justify to you guys at that price unless you are a huge fan of American Gigolo. So how would I rate American Gigolo on a score of 1 to 10? I would still give American Gigolo's 4K Blu-ray a solid 8.5 out of 10. Not one of the greatest of the year, but really, that packaging definitely does stand out. They got new interviews, so they gave us brand new extras, and I can appreciate that, and it is a noticeable visual upgrade. So they definitely gave us a lot. And guys, thank you so much for being here with me on another episode of Let's Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on, share this video if you could. We also have channel memberships. We have a friend of the channel tier. We have a producers tier. We're going to find John Doe Juggalo, Jason Martin, and Mr. Smelly Potato. And we also have a directors tier. We're going to find Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews. So make sure you guys head over to John Doe Juggalo and Frank's YouTube channels. Subscribe to them, and I promise you guys, you will not regret it. And for everybody else, if you got no money to throw away, we don't mind at all. All we hope is that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you guys get out in those streets and tell your friends about us. And then we'll be seeing you around.